My name is Thomas Korn. I'm CEO and co-founder of two companies. So you see two companies here. It's KEYOU. KEYOU is a truck OEM, a new truck OEM. We built hydrogen trucks based on diesel trucks. The chassis basis we are using is from our partner from Mercedes-Benz Actros. And the other company, Water Stuff and Sun, brings the fuel where it's needed. So it's a storage and distribution infrastructure company. Why is there a truck and what has this to do with business case? Who knows it? You? No? So we have, in the world, we have unique boundary conditions. They're really unique in the world for hydrogen trucks. Thanks to the EU regulation and thanks to Yorgo Chatzimarkaki, the boss of Hydrogen Europe, who does a good job in Europe, in Brussels, I believe. So we have two very strong tools that help us to make a business case in hydrogen trucks. This is the European Maut Directive. Hydrogen trucks are not paying toll, which is very expensive in some countries like Germany or the Netherlands. So trucks pay up to 35,000 euro per year toll, and these trucks are exempted. And the other tool is the greenhouse gas quota, which subsidizes the hydrogen at the pump by a big extent. So today in Germany is a subsidy of 10 euro per kilogram hydrogen at the pump. So these two tools make the boundary conditions that first business cases for hydrogen will indeed happen in the truck arena. Okay, so if we move on, this is probably a slide everybody knows, right? So why is hydrogen not moving forward? We have a chicken and egg problem. So in the end of the day, it means that we have not a competitive diesel competitive solution or trucks so far, and we have no diesel competitive fuel, hydrogen at the pump infrastructure. If you drill a little bit deeper and you are part of the industry, you understand what it really means. It means that if an OEM, a truck manufacturer, wants to bring a new product to the market, he has to invest 2 to 3 billion euro just to industrialize the production infrastructure to get this ready, right? So this is a lot of money. No problem with diesel because you have a big market, you can sell a lot of hydrogen trucks to the market, 100,000 trucks a year, and you have the money back in a few years. So, but if I bring a new product to the market, like a hydrogen truck, the market is very small because you have still limited hydrogen filling stations, you see? And that is why the truck manufacturers cannot move and bring hydrogen trucks to the market because they get it not financed. You see, this is the real meaning of the chicken and egg problem. So, what's the conclusion? If we want to build a market, we need a specific technology approach. Meaning, you have to stay as close as possible to the core of the industry, and this is diesel truck, right? We solve the problem with the KEYOU Inside conversion system that we can integrate in a diesel truck, and with that, convert a diesel truck to hydrogen with a low modification effort, right? So we reuse the combustion engine, we reuse the transmission, we reuse the chassis, right? So 80%, let's say, of the production is still coming from the OEM, and then since the modification effort is low, we can use retrofitters in the market to build us the truck. So no capex, no investment in production, and that's why a hydrogen truck with our technology can be extremely cost efficient. And then, of course, you have to utilize existing filling stations, so you need a smart market approach. And then you can build a case with the existing boundary conditions. What you see here is the KEYOU truck. The truck we are offering to the market by the end of next year, Q3 2027, a 40-ton truck at 250,000 euro. This is a game changer, and with the tools in place, with the regulation in place, offers the first business case in trucking. And then, of course, you have to be smart in the rollout, that you are looking to utilize filling stations, existing filling stations to a maximum, that the hydrogen cost gets down. And with a 7 to 8 euro per kilogram hydrogen at the pump, which is absolutely possible today, you are on the TCO level of diesel trucks, and here you go. Now you can build a truck. Now you have a business case in trucking. These are the two tools we said. This is unique in the world. So we're always complaining about the politicians, but the European regulation is really, let's say, a big example for the world. Everybody looks at it. It's so good that even the Chinese truck manufacturers coming to Europe to sell their hydrogen trucks here in Europe. Okay, here, this is total cost of ownership comparison between the diesel on the left side, right, and the hydrogen truck with KEYOU Inside technology on the right side. And the green block is probably the interesting one. This is the amount that diesel trucks have to pay, which a hydrogen truck is exempted, and there you go with this technology and with the truck we can offer to the market. We are without any funding on the same cost level, and here you go, customers are interested to buy hydrogen trucks. On top now, we see that public funding is in place. So we have public funding in Bavaria, in Germany, in the Netherlands, and also in Luxembourg. That, on top of the regulation, incentivizes the purchase of hydrogen trucks. So that with the funding in Germany, for instance, the hydrogen truck costs the same than a diesel truck, and now you're even saving on top toll. So you have a, let's say, better TCO than a diesel truck operator. So, and now the market can start. We are all positive in the ecosystem that this is the beginning of building a hydrogen market with hydrogen trucks. So the plan is now to bring 5,000 trucks until the end of the decade, until 2031. With that, you have a bigger market, a market that allows to bring also innovation into the game. But what happens if funding tools are not there, right? Or you are operating in a market where there is no funding regulation for hydrogen trucks? Then what helps is innovation in storage and distribution. It's the other company. This is Water Stuff in Sun. And just let me explain you this slide. Starting from left, this is hydrogen production out of renewable power and sun power, which in the end, if you look to the cost structure, is just 20 to 30% of the total cost of hydrogen at the pump. The rest of the cost is the very complex storage and distribution of hydrogen, right? So we are all a little bit brainwashed after dealing 150 years with oil-based fuels, diesel fuels. So we are distributing hydrogen like we distribute oil-based fuels. From the production place comes a special trailer with a tank. You have a transfer, you go to a filling station, there's another tank, there is another transfer, comes the truck, there is another tank, there's another transfer. This is crazy, guys, right? So how could I simplify this distribution infrastructure in bringing an innovation in a tank system? We call it the hydrogen battery, that is so safe and lightweight that you can use the same tank to carry it through the entire distribution network, right? So one tank and one transfer, and then transport and swapping. So with this tank, a swapping system can be built, and that eliminates 70% of the capex. You will see it. But tank is also not the enabler for a very cost-efficient and robust infrastructure. It is also the cost driver in many hydrogen applications. The energy storage is the cost driver. The hydrogen tank is the cost driver in many applications. If I have a swap system that is a part of the infrastructure, I immediately eliminate the most cost-intensive component in the machine, in the vehicle, and therefore I can immediately have a diesel competitive solution. So you see, storage is a key innovation for the infrastructure, but also for the machine itself. This is the solution. It's a hydrogen battery. You can also see it on our booth. We brought a prototype in the German pavilion. So the safety comes through the distribution of a big amount of hydrogen, of energy in small tanks, small carbon fiber tanks, and they are equipped with a micro-valve system. So it's any of that carbon fiber tanks holds the valve, the micro-valve system, so that they together work like a big energy amount, but they are distributed. And with that, you multiply safety measures, but you also, let's say, you have small energy entities, so you increase also the acceptable failure rate, and with that, you can reduce 50% of the carbon fiber. With that, of course, a lot of the cost, and the system is lightweight, and with this combination, you have a swappable, safe storage and tank. Okay, so bringing on the point is, it's an intrinsic safe energy system. This is what makes hydrogen a real commodity. This is the most important thing here. It has a high energy density. We can compete with liquid hydrogen in many applications. It's cost efficient, 8 times more cost efficient than the standard 700 bar tank. We can build it small or big in all kinds of sizes for a drone, for a truck, but also a 45-foot container holds 3 tons of hydrogen, so 100 megawatt hour for the industry. Everything is possible. But most important, that's what I brought in the beginning, is we can simplify the distribution infrastructure, and with that, of course, reduce the cost of hydrogen at the point of sale dramatically by 50%. So here you see the truck. We bring now everything together. We bring the KEYOU truck not with a 350 bar system, which we are doing at the moment, to the market. We bring it with a swap system. Our 2 swap tanks there where the diesel tanks are, left and right, so can be easily swapped. 5 minutes, you have a full amount of energy that brings your truck more than 1,000 kilometers. And of course, building an infrastructure with a swap system is much more cost efficient and much faster, right? So building a normal filling station that has a compressor, pre-cooling, dispenser, a tank, right, costs not just €1 million, it also takes time to build it, right? So if I have centralized charging there where the hydrogen is being produced, at the sun and wind power plant where the electrons are the most cost efficient, and I have big industrial compression plants to charge hundreds and thousands of batteries that afterwards I just transport to the swap stations, is a huge advantage in not just cost, but also in building infrastructure speed, which in the end will define the market size, right? Okay, and what you see is we can left and right from the vehicle chassis, depending on the wheelbase, we can store 75 to almost 90 kilo of hydrogen, which allows you to go more than 1,000 kilometers with one swap, let's say, which 1,000 kilometers is the magic number in logistics, right? Okay, here, make it a bit more clear how we are distributing hydrogen at the moment, right? So hydrogen production going from left to right, the yellow puzzle piece is production, where sun and wind power is being produced, hydrogen is being produced. There we also have compression, and there is a storage, and then there comes a trailer, there is another storage, we have a transfer, then you go to the filling station, there's another tank, there's another transfer, and then comes the vehicle, and there's another tank, another transfer. You see this complexity, this is a lot of CapEx and a lot of OpEx. And that in the end is the 70 to 80% of all the costs. 60 at the moment per kilogram is what we are losing in this distribution, in this, let's do it like oil-based fuels idea, right? But if you think out of the box and bring a swap tank into the game, looks like that, right? You have one storage and one transfer there where you have the compression right there where the hydrogen is being produced, right? And then it's only transport and swapping. The empty ones are going back, and with that you can reduce 70% of the capex and a lot of OpEx, and that reduces the cost to €1.30 per kilogram, which is, who lives in the energy world, 4 cents per kilowatt hour, right? 4 cents per kilowatt hour capex and OpEx infrastructure cost, right? So this is the game changer. With that, you can build fast infrastructure. Hydrogen is very safe. Vehicles become very cost efficient because the tank cost is a part of the distribution infrastructure. And even in Germany or in Central Europe produced hydrogen, we can produce hydrogen even here, below 10 cents per kilowatt hour. Of course, we can produce it much cheaper in North Africa, in Morocco, or in Norway, right? But even here, we can produce below 10 cents per kilowatt hour. And with the distribution cost of 4 cents, you are at 14 cents. This is €1.40 per liter diesel equivalent. Here you go. Hydrogen becomes competitive to fossil fuels. A little bit of innovation helps. Okay, wrapping it up. You should not complain. Europe is the place to be. If you want to build a first business case in hydrogen, make it with trucks. We have the best boundary conditions. If you use a hydrogen combustion engine, you can profit from the existing production infrastructure. You have immediately a diesel competitive solution in the market. Established hydrogen storage and distribution technologies are extremely complex. We build it with the wrong mindset. But with a hydrogen battery, you can solve that problem, and you can even be on the infrastructure, on the fuel side, competitive to fossil fuels with, in Central Europe, produced hydrogen. And with that, I think I close my presentation, and I say thank you. And if you have questions, if you got curious, you find us a little booth at the German pavilion, both companies, KEYOU and Water Stuff and Son. Thank you.